Hi, everyone. Today is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. Welcome. I'm Jeffrey Morgan, and this is a talk I host twice a week to discuss my experiences on the path of soul transcendence. This offering is brought to you by the movement of spiritual inner awareness with the encouragement and support of my friend John Morton, who holds the mystical traveler consciousness, which is the spiritual consciousness that does the work we're doing here today. If you're new to the call, the format is simple. We're going to start by calling ourselves forward into the light, which is calling our awareness forward into the light of God that's already present. And then we're going to chant 3 hues. Hue is an ancient name for God, and Anaya invokes a quality of empathy and compassion. And then I'm going to play a video clip from my teacher, John Roger. And then I'm going to do a reading from a very ancient early writing in Christianity, the first book of hymns called the Odes of Solomon. And I'm going to read Ode number 12. It's been a long time since I've read from this. And then we can talk about whatever you would like. So with that, I'll have my friend Ron Holnick call us forward into the light, and then we can chant some Anai Hughes together.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Lord God of all creation, it's been said to seek first the kingdom of heaven. Another possibility, rather than seeking the kingdom of heaven, is to claim the kingdom of heaven right here and right now, for that is the true reality of what and who we are. So be it.
When we were chanting the tones here in the beginning, I was noticing that many times the energies would go into the trees around. Especially will it go into the highest trees around. And it would look almost like fireflies darting off towards trees. And so I was looking in the trees, and there were some of the Davic forms almost like bathing in the tones as the energy was coming to them, adding the lyrical consciousness of their own melodies. When we are doing the Sayyid Sormad, or chanting the holy melodies, then we are indeed tuning in with all of consciousness, all of consciousness. And we become then one with all life. And we only feel separated when we do a trip of the mind, where we say in our mind, you're there, I'm here, we're different, and not only that, I'm better than you. If we can get the basic self to come on in and go along with us, then we can fulfill biblical scripture of keeping your eye single, so that all of your levels of consciousness are directed into the celestial melodies. Part of the divine melodies is inspiration and intuition. It's part of the great, great, great depth of feeling that goes on in all of us. Only those who are indeed partaking of the celestial melodies can indeed sing the song of the soul. And so our presence, those who are indeed in the movement of spiritual inner awareness, who are in it, who are actively participating and drinking and listening to these nectars and divine melodies of God, of the cosmic, then must walk in this all the time, blessing all things. And even when you're disturbed, bless yourself in your disturbance. God bless this disturbance I feel in the pit of my stomach. If you say, God damn this disturbance, you've damned yourself to more disturbance. Bless this disturbance, for it's being brought to me for an awakening in some level within my total beingness. Berush Beshem.
Hi, Princess.
Okay, and this is from the Odes of Solomon, Ode number 12, so one of the earliest Christian hymns ever chanted. He has filled me with words of truth that I may proclaim him. And like the flowing of waters, truth flows from my mouth, and my lips declare his fruits. And he has caused his knowledge to abound in me, because the mouth of the Lord is the true word, and the entrance of his light. And the Most High has given him to his generations, which are the interpreters of his beauty, and the narrators of his glory, and the confessors of his purpose, and the preachers of his mind, and the teachers of his works. For the subtlety of the word is inexpressible, and like his utterance, so also is his swiftness, his acuteness, for limitless is his progression. He never falls but remains standing, and one cannot comprehend his descent or his way. For as his work is, so is his expectation, and he is the light and dawning of thought. And by him the generations spoke to one another, and those who were silent acquired speech. And from him came love and equality, and they spoke one to another that which was theirs. And they were stimulated by the word and knew him who made them, because they were in harmony. For the mouth of the Most High spoke to them, and his exposition prospered through him. For the dwelling place of the word is man, and his truth is love. Blessed are they who by means of him have perceived everything, and have known the Lord in his truth. Hallelujah. Okay. There you go. What do y'all want to talk about today?
Jennifer Butler has her hand raised.
Oh, okay, Jennifer Butler then.
Jennifer, you're muted.
Yes. Oh, that sounds like is that
Now
thought
you
it
are.
was um thought it
I
was
can hear you
adopted.
now.
All
Yeah,
right,
yeah, I can
thank
hear you
you.
now.
Okay. Um I want to thank you. I've come onto these seminars late in my I've come into everything late in my life, but it's been the best part of my life. But last Wednesday, I was told by a neurosurgeon that he wouldn't operate on my back. I was not able to walk. It took me 3 hours to get out of bed and stand up, and that it was too complex. And he wasn't going to risk killing me on the table.
Hmm.
And there was a second neurosurgeon that I had had to jump through 10 hoops to even be considered. And each hoop, they say, yes, you're on to the next, you're on to the next. And then I made the short list um, with the note that when Dr. Hussein had a strategy, he would be in touch. And honestly, I was devastated because the same day that the neurosurgeon told me, oh, I was inoperable and she didn't know how I would walk, how I could walk, I found out that I had a tumor in my left breast and had to have a biopsy. And I ran home to my SEs and my candles and asked, JR, guide me. I don't know what to do. And a pity party is useless. And at 10:18, the next morning, I had a call from Dr. Hussein saying, come here was on Monday, and I have a strategy for you. Just before I had that appointment, I found out that the biopsy was negative. So I guess what I'm sharing is how powerful the light of all of us who serve under the light and guidance of the mystical traveler. And thank you, each and every one of you who's you're my family, which brings me, Jeffrey, to this. I'm estranged from two of my children, blocked, and um, one sued me in court over my husband, her father's will. The other one is another. And I wondered what my karma is that I am, um, I, I empowered my children, and I've had to live peacefully and say God bless. I loved the moment of peace, Ron, by the way. Um, that I didn't get the reward, in my, and I'm 80 years old, and I haven't spoken to Georgina in 10 years, and I haven't spoken to Jane in 18. I haven't seen my grandchildren. And I know there's a lesson in it. And, my mantra is spiritual warriors accept everything. That's um which I have, but it would be lovely if there were some words that you could support my grace.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned the word grace. In my experience, grace is a consciousness and field, a field of energy, a field of consciousness within which we can function. And it's not that the karma is eliminated from existence because there is a law by which action must be completed on this level, but it is that we ourselves are no longer participating in the identification with those levels, not as a bypass, but as an unconditional loving that emanates into all creation. So we walk through this process. The mind is telling you you're in a lawsuit. The mind is telling you it's like you've got the story going, but you really don't know the perfection and the completion of the action that can be occurring from the karma. Now, when you say, what is my karma that this happened? What is my karma that that happened? That comes from the part of you that thinks there's a winner and a loser and a right and a wrong and all that other kind of stuff. But grace is a consciousness that doesn't discriminate. It's by its very nature unconditioned spiritual energy. And the God consciousness that expresses through grace in the non-magnetic realm sees no separation from the consciousness of the realization of self, the Christ within, the self that is transcendent of the ebbs and flows of your karma. You really do start to see God's perfection in all of it. You have no againstness, no qualms with any of it. It's not so much that intellectually, see, by its nature, the Christ action is evolutionary from a learning perspective rather than evolutionary from a karma perspective. The Luciferian expression would say, I've got to earn every inch and pay every debt, otherwise, my soul won't be worthy of God consciousness. I have to earn the right to ride the sound current. The Christ says, the price has already been paid by nature of the action of bridging that took place, and now we can extend the consciousness into establishment in the soul realm beyond the 27 levels and into the heart of God. And there's nothing that needs to be done or earned in that sense. It needs to be claimed and it needs to be embodied. Grace has already been extended through that process. What we are asked to do is walk joyfully through our karmas. And part of joyfully through your karmas is also joyfully through your angers and your resentments and all the other stuff you're going to run about it, because there's a part of you that doesn't like it. And that part of you is equally worthy of loving and honoring and holding and sweetness. The um, evolutionary consciousness, but an inner evolutionary consciousness will always say, I can use everything for my upliftment, growth, and learning. Instead of everything becoming an excuse or a barrier to my closeness to God, the entire universe conspires to bring me closer to my own soul awareness. So that becomes the assumption by which you function, even in the courtroom and even with your children. So every experience that we have becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block in the consciousness of grace. And a lot of that is about attitude. When somebody really triggers me, my inclination in the lower self in the past would be to defend my point of view and attack them or defend myself or do whatever I got to do, or even more insidiously, to be pleasant to them and then to go in private and build a legal case against them in my mind, and maybe even for good measure talk to my friends about how screwed up they are and how right I am and how wrong they are, and then get myself all built to, oh yeah, you're right. That's just ridiculous. That person's right. And get myself all justified. But none of that is necessary if my assumption is that the person is doing me a favor by revealing to me the next level that is to be healed through the Christ. We develop these antagonistic relationships with the mind and with other people. Oh, this person is a petty tyrant. This person, petty tyrants are our best friends because they're going to reveal to us exactly the level that is our next doorway to liberation. I I actually very much value when I get triggered because oftentimes I get to, it's like Sherlock Holmes, right? It's like the mystery. What actually got me about this situation? And it's very rarely what I think. I mean, I think, oh, it's because of this, this, and this, but then I'm honest with myself and I go, well, actually, that doesn't bother me at all. So what is it? And usually it'll be something ridiculous. Oh, I didn't even know that was something that upset me. And then I get to heal that part of me, and then I get to walk that much more free the next day. Every knock's a boost. That is an attitude of grace that everything is here. The entire universe is conspiring to bring me closer to God consciousness inside of me. Every second of my life is conspiring to bring me home to God. In the
Got it.
microscopic consciousness, you zoom in and you go, but this experience didn't feel like bringing me close to God. This experience made me think I want to pop that one in the face.
I don't feel that
Yeah.
way.
Well,
Okay.
but
I
but
really,
giving an
yes.
example, like in the microscopic consciousness, this doesn't feel like it's bringing me closer to God. But what was set up through the Christ consciousness is a kind of inevitability. And that inevitability says not one soul will be lost. And that inevitability says we can walk each other home to the heart of God. Every particle of creation, we can just walk ourselves home. We're all just traveling companions back home to the heart of God. And it's like even and especially the enemy. And the funny thing is, enemies exist in people's consciousness. That's just like, is there a substance we can call peace? No, there's a process we can call peace that we can participate in within us. It's as dynamic as it is stationary. It's so dynamic it feels like stillness. And yet it's constantly moving us deeper and deeper into the silence and into the quiet and into the sacredness of the soul.
Thank you. Got it.
Is that
Really. Yes.
yeah, anything else on that?
Um, no, I really, on a human level, I guess I would love to have met my grandchildren. Um,
Well,
but
go
it doesn't,
inside right now. Go inside
yes,
right now and meet your
yes.
grandchildren.
Okay. With everybody.
Let's
Join
do
me.
it. Let's do it.
Say hello from me.
Oh, my darling Mitch. I love you.
Hello to your grandchildren. You are so beautiful.
Jennifer, it's Agapi. I love you.
I, I love you too.
They love you so
Oh,
much.
Just go be with them. We don't need to let that pesky thing called physicality get in the way of it. Go hang out with them. Go play with them. Yeah. You can see your energy shift on that. It's like you let it go.
yeah. And my gratitude for all of us together healing each other. I wouldn't want to do it alone.
We're never really alone.
No.
And yet in the oneness, there really is no other. little bit of paradox for you.
But you're full of them.
Yeah, I am. I'm
You-
definitely full of
You're
them.
the emperor of paradox,
Something
really.
like that.
Yes, I keep a list of them.
All
I love you,
right.
all of
God
you.
bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Aaron, Michael.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hi.
Um, the I would love some assistance with bringing greater loving, under compassion, empathy along those lines to the part of me that eats excessively.
And how did you determine that you eat excessively?
So I guess sometimes I feel like I'm gonna like sometimes I do almost like feel like I'm passing out. I just can't stay conscious anymore. From the maybe the sugar or the calories.
Got it.
Um,
And you and
and
you
other
did
things.
and you deduced from that that it's an issue of amount? I guess I'm just wondering because it could also
No,
be that you eat sugary, use something sugary will shoot up the blood sugar and then tank the blood sugar and then you start to feel like you're going to pass out.
I think it's more than just a sugar spike, I think.
Okay. What is it then?
Well, I can feel it like sometimes in my body, like I have a little bit of a pouch, a pelvic pouch. Um, uh, Sometimes I feel it in my joints. You know,
But what do you have? What would be the challenge of you loving the part of you that eats excessively? I mean, I guess I'm trying to understand how
yeah.
did you determine that you're eating excessively? And what is it that you don't want to be or don't want to experience that eating excessively is? Like, do you think you're being gluttonous or do you think you're being self-destructive or like is it are you judging your addictions? Like I'm just trying to understand what's the rub here.
Um, yeah, I think there's some maybe I'm sensing there's some unworthiness. Like
Got it.
after I've done that.
Okay. And what does excessive eating have to do with unworthiness?
Well, I guess I can't give my best.
Got
I
it.
can't, yeah,
So your issue is lethargy and not having enough energy to give your best.
yeah.
Okay. So is it laziness or is it
You mean
what are you
why?
judging yourself? What are you afraid of becoming if this excessive eating thing isn't? Are you afraid that you're going to be lazy? Are you afraid you're going to miss out? What is the judgment about?
I think I have missed out because of that.
Got it. So left behind. So you're left behind or like
Yeah.
what's the root there? So because I overeat, I get lethargic. Because I'm lethargic, what happens?
Well, I've noticed that I don't know, maybe this might be off of what your question is, but I noticed that I experience like negative feedback from my universe when I do that for one thing.
So
Like
like
my
for example,
uh oh okay, I don't have any. I've forgotten the whole deck of examples, I think. Um, it seemed like maybe, for instance, maybe I perceive that my auntie might yell at me more, and it might affect me more, and I might be more reactive to that something that happens outside of me. Like if somebody, I might be, more defensive or
okay.
not being more balanced and calm. to deal
Okay,
with those
so
things.
because I am okay, got it. So because I excessively eat, I get lethargic. Because I get lethargic, when I'm asked to do things, I'm out of balance, defensive and reactive, and more conflict is apparent. And so when you're in conflict, that's the you that is in conflict with your aunt is what you don't want to be, yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay. So really this is about not wanting to be the cantankerous one or the conflict, or I'm trying to think cranky or conflict oriented. Well, how would you describe that?
Well, for instance, like maybe if I experience just using her as an example, if I experience maybe her expressing something negatively, like if I'm clear inside, maybe it's easier for me to use the tools like I say I've learned in MSAA to um like the even one that I heard in this conversation about blessing the disturbance that I feel or something like that. Um, so like maybe I'm more present to remember those tools or something when
Okay,
my body's in a better in that condition.
got it. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you've got going that tingles you up in knots is at the mental level, just to state the obvious, and in particular at the belief level. So, like for example, you have a belief that when you excessively eat, you'll have more conflict in your life or something like that, right? You have a belief that it's better that you're a better person if you handle conflict better. So you've created that standard in your consciousness going, me not being good with conflict is less lovable than me being good with conflict.
Hmm.
You follow?
Yes.
But that's all fabricated. You get that, right? Like you've created that in your mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the good news about you knowing that and the good news about being in your mind is you can start to release that very quickly. So you just
Okay.
say, yeah, so you just say, I release myself from the belief that I'm unlovable if I create conflict.
Well, let me
That's
go
one.
back to you. You're saying that you know that you've created that in your mind. I said yes, but uh I'm just going with what you said, really. I'm not
No,
sure that
no,
I
but you're what's true right now? What's true right now? Is all this other stuff that you just said true right now?
in this moment,
In this exact moment, is it true? Is
like
it true that you
okay,
overate right now? Is it true that you're in conflict with your aunt? Is it true? Is any of that stuff true?
I feel the results of the overeating, maybe. Okay,
That's an
okay,
interpretation.
okay,
What's
okay.
true right now? What's true
No,
right
that
now?
what's true right now that we're
You're
having a
breathing in, you're
conversation.
breathing out, we're having a conversation, we're
Yeah.
connecting. Yeah. So anything outside of that is something that you've mocked up in your mind
Okay.
based on your
Yes.
interpretation of sensory processing and your beliefs and contextualization and programming that you've received, your psychic genetic level, the thought forms you picked up, the thought forms you had laying around your etheric body double. Like I can just go down the list. Those are all the things that you're combining into the amalgam that you're calling truth. But the truth is you're breathing in you're laughing about it because it now you get it. It's you mocked all that up for yourself and then you go, "Oh my God, I have a problem." Which is like basically like if you created a make-believe game with your friends and you created a bunch of rules and you violated those rules. I mean, when I was in kindergarten, that was a huge deal. If somebody broke the rules that we set for a make-believe game, I mean, that was like a sin. That was like bad. Did you have the same thing? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
if you play, the Double Dragon or the Ninja game and somebody breaks character, oh my God, that's you can't change sides in the middle of the game. That's not and you get really upset about that's what you do. Do you see how you do that in your life? You create
Yes.
yeah, it's funny, right? Because
Yeah.
you mock up all these rules and all these things that you did wrong in the whole thing, but it's just self-inflicted wounds. It's like the reality is you're totally and completely loved by God. Every ridiculous particle of you is totally and completely loved by God. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to earn anything. You don't have to solve anything. You can even keep overeating, and you're still totally and completely loved by God. There's the punchline. There's the punchline. So, but then you go, well, how do I stop suffering? Well, one thing is your mind is going to keep creating bullshit because that's what your mind does. That's what anyone's mind. That's what minds are kind of for. I mean, they create stuff. You can give it a job that's more positive, like, hey, I'd like you to write my novel, or hey, I'd like you to go research this, or here's a bunch of Sudoku puzzles, figure them out, you know? It's like you give them something to do that's not negative. And when things come up, it starts to reveal to you and make you adept at understanding where the assumption is and where the falseness is underpinning everything. Like what we just did, like underneath that whole train of your question was this whole mocked up reality where you were causing horrible conflict and it was you were not a good nephew because you overeat and then you get lethargic and then you start fights and all that's and none of that stuff's real. It's just you just mock that up and it upsets you because usually most of the time emotions are either stored energy that's releasing in a various part of the body or it's thoughts felt physically, just energy and motion in the body. So you have a more you'll have you so what'll happen is you'll mock up a scenario, then you respond to that scenario through a system of belief structures and conditioning that make you judge that scenario. And then you're going to have an emotional reaction to your judgment because the ego goes, hey, you can't call me that. And then you'll start fighting with yourself and creating a righteous position. You see, it's like it just keeps going. It's like quicksand. It's like, and the more you fight it, the more. So that's why I say I don't fight it. I don't try to win. It's like when I'm doing SCs, when the mind comes up, when I'm starting to do spiritual exercises, I don't go, shut up. I don't start hitting my mind. I go, okay, beloved, I guess this is the most important thing in the world right now because here you are. Tell me how I can support you and love you. Now the mind may come up with all kind of crazy stuff that I'm supposedly supposed to worry about, but I don't go into that. I just go, okay, I get it. I hear you. How can I support you, beloved? And then, oh, you want some light? Okay, we'll do the light thing. And you just do it. But it all becomes healing. It all becomes loving. The mind is not there to reveal truth to you because you are the truth and the life. You're the way, the truth, and the life that you seek is within you already. It's the indwelling Christ. It's already there. But it's not something that's obtained through the mind. In many cases, it's obtained despite the mind. Now, most people would take that statement and go, oh, the mind is the enemy. But we're supposed to love the enemy. It's like you can have fun, like you were just laughing about it because it's hilarious. Your mind is hilarious, Aaron. You can have fun. You can laugh at it because it's funny. It's funny the shit that you come up with. The problems that you create with that mind. Imagine if that was like pointed at a really cool project. You probably produce something really extraordinary because it's very creative. You have a lot of creativity going in your mind. And what happens when people have karma around the creativity, either they direct that creativity in a loving, uplifting direction, or they channel that creativity and just like kind of venting, like you might do like free form painting, free form writing, you just get it out. Or if they do nothing with their creativity starts to beat them up. They start to imagine really upsetting things and they start to create rules that they broke and then they judge themselves and then they rebel against their judgment and then they fight with that. It's like all we need to do is start with that one question. It's like, is it really true? What's true right now? What's here right now? Okay, so if I know that it's not true, it's just what's present. The truth of it is there's a part of me that is calling out and reaching out for my love and support. And so you go do that. You see? It's like I've had friends lie straight to my face. Do I go, oh my God, you lied to me? It's like, no, because they're telling me something very true with their lying. They're telling like, I don't feel safe with you, so I'm lying. That's a true statement. It's just not something that came out of their mouth. It came out of their behavior. But who cares? It's what I can use and work with for healing and upliftment and loving. So I'm not saying you should, when I was laughing about the mind, I'm saying that's just have fun with it because minds are really, really funny places. I mean, I'm telling you as somebody when I work with people, sometimes I find myself in their mind, and some people I work with, it's like a house of mirrors, it's like it's really weird. And then sometimes it's hilarious. It's like old Looney Tunes cartoons or something in there. You can kind of hear Hungarian Rhapsody #2, in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get what I'm saying, though.
You brought up something that has been kind of percolating in me for a while that I want to be better at, which is hearing past those those things that aren't the truth. To to hearing past that. To
Yeah.
hearing, yeah.
The more you listen and love all the parts of you doing all these things, including the mind, that listening extends to everyone. So if you say it's like when somebody comes at you and you feel attacked and you react to it, it's because you would feel attacked and react to it within you, meaning you haven't quite learned how to listen fully to those parts of you. Do you get what I'm saying? So you
Yes.
just practice inside of you all the time. Like this part of you that's going overeating, whatever causes this, and this whole elaborate causal scheme that you created. Just listen to that first part and go, beloved, what is it you really need underneath all that? One of my favorite books that sort of talks about this, like listening for the need thing, is this wonderful book by Marshall Rosenberg, Nonviolent Communication. It's a beautiful book.
I think I read that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't find it very like practical in the sense of like I couldn't operationalize it right away, but I love the idea of listening for needs rather than listening for position. Most of the time when people take a position, that's just a specific strategy they chose to accomplish a very valid need within them. And it can be very counterintuitive because somebody might attack you as a strategy to feel closeness with you. And you'd be like, what the fuck? And then it turns out that their strategy is I feel distance with you, so I'm starting a fight with you so you'll engage with me so I can feel engaged with you, so I can feel connected to you, so I don't feel so alone, so I know God's with me. And you go, it's like, well, why didn't you just say you wanted my attention? Well, human consciousness is such an amalgamation of so many different strategies and so many different responses and programmings and karmas. And it's more of a chorus than a solo. We'll put it that way. It's a lot of voices singing, and everybody wants to upstage the other. And some parts of you are trying to get in front of the mic, and the others are pushing them out of the way and getting in front of the mic. And there's one diva over there who's like trying to yell from the side. It's all going on at the same time, and there becomes a peaceful, harmonious state when you can really listen to each of them. And the more you take the time in loving and peace and safety to really be with those parts of you, and that it's not rare, it's not something that's very coveted. It's something that you give lavishly to yourself, that listening, the more you will be able to listen to others in that way. Like when people and I talk on these talks, I've gotten feedback that people just feel very heard when I talk to them. But that's because I've listened to enough of the parts of me inside of me, and I've just constantly reaffirmed that statement that this person that's right in front of me, this person that's inside of me, whoever God puts in front of me is the most important person in the whole world to me right now. And that presence and that listening is by its very nature healing. Your brain is going to try to problem solve all over the place, but your own presence as the Christ within you is the healer. So if you can get to that level with yourself where you go, no matter what you do, Aaron, I'm gonna love you and we're gonna figure it out. And you just be there like your best friend. You will find such a peace and such a willingness to listen to others. Like people have said to me, "Oh, you're so patient." The person was monologuing forever and they go on and on. It's like, and people have these projections that they put on me as, "Oh, you're so patient. You're so patient." I do not perceive myself as particularly patient or not patient. I'm just very, like, patience would imply that there's something else that's more important to do than be with you right now. And that's just not the case. So I'm not being patient because every second that I spend with you is lavishly loving the part of me that is you and healing from that. As a complete action, listening is a complete action. It's not something I'm doing so that I can hear myself talk. I won't even remember what I said anyway. A lot of people know that about me. I'm quite inconvenient for some who ask me about stuff afterwards. But it's that simple. And in the grand scheme of things, are you really going to look back on your life on your deathbed and wish you spent more time worrying about overeating? No, no.
No.
But I can tell you, you may look back and go, wow, why did I spend so much time worrying when I could have just been loving myself or loving the one in front of me? So I just say, we're in our laters. The healing is already present that we seek. It's as simple as being present with that healing.
I am 100% on board with that.
Well,
Um,
give it a try. And
I
laugh at yourself as much as possible. Like the hilariousness of the mind. Not as a negative, but like, wow, I invented all of that. That's crazy. That's like wow, how did I do something so complex?
my homework from what I hear is to practice listening to myself more deeply.
Instead of being the mind in the process of trying to solve the problem, be the listener that observes the mind creating problems and love the mind into resolution. Your challenge is you identify as the mind. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the problem is it becomes very difficult to heal those parts of you from within that matrix of confusion. If you can pull back and be the listener, the observer, the soul. And that's why you do spiritual exercises. Well, among many reasons, you're going to get a reference point that's not your mind. And the more you anchor, the more you get stained by the perfume of that ambrosia. The easier it will be to go, oh, I'm not my thoughts. That's true. But that doesn't mean I don't love my thoughts. I think my thoughts are very entertaining. There's a sweetness to it, you see. So yes, I'm suggesting if you want to say there's homework, instead of being the problem solver within the mind, be the lover that observes it all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
All right. God bless you.
Bless you too.
All right. Uh, Jason?
Hi, Jeffrey. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Well, it's great to see you. I really appreciate everything you're sharing. I I don't know. I feel like you addressed a lot of what is up for me already. But I'll share my sort of unique little piece of it, I guess. I uh, I experience myself as very creative.
Hmm.
And part of what I've had a struggle with is feeling like I've got so much energy that I want to move with that creativity. And just as like an example, I have an idea, and I was thinking about this today. It's like it's
Mm.
they often feel to process on like an individual basis practically in a given day. So I'll write it down, and then it will simmer sometimes for months. And what's happening right now is I'm sort of facing the end of my current, potentially the end of my current employment. I've got all these things that I've kind of put out there, and I feel like I've got to complete them all at once. And it's put me in a little bit of a tizzy. I'm getting through it, but it's that whole dynamic of like I've got all this energy, this inspiration, these ideas, and it kind of uh, I'm looking at how can I more effectively um, work with that creativity and express myself so that I'm just present and it's flowing. And the fact that I can articulate that, like I know it's there, I know it's available, and I'm moving into it, and I'm still in the midst of figuring it out. Or at least that's how it feels.
Yeah, so I would say, so in the creative process, do you tend to ideate or iterate or brainstorm, like stuff comes out and then you want to action it right away, right?
Yeah, because if I don't action it right away, in some form, it kind of just it gets swept away by everything else that's going on in my daily life. And maybe that's just another way of saying that I put priority on other things. I mean, maybe it's just attention deficit kind of a thing, but I know that there's something behind that. But yeah, it's I would prefer to put I want to action it somehow so that I have a reference point to relate to it.
Yeah, so my experience is when something has energy on it and we can categorize it in any way that we want. Uh, a lot of people like to say, oh, is this guided by spirit or is this a spiritual action? Well, regardless of where it originated, it's going to express in the karmic field of the planet anyway. So it's going to end up being karma anyway. Um, Depending on the consciousness you have when you action it, that will kind of determine whether it's a completion action or whether there's some creation of additional karmas in the process, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
My experience is if something has energy on it and needs to be done, it will be done. Meaning the discipline is when there is energy on something, having a system that holds it in a place where you can be aware of it. And then you check in and you check spiritually, is there energy? Is there flow? Is there movement? When I originate the energy of something and it's not from a guidance or from a spiritual process, that usually means I need to take responsibility for the karma of that. And that usually means that I'm very tired in the process because it's going to source from my ego, it's going to source from my mind, it's going to source from uh, energy patterns that will, in fact, end eventually, you know. So for my part, I agree with you. I think one of the that, I'd rather move with the flow of the spirit on it. One thing that has been healing for me is to treat the creative process and the idea process as a complete action,
Hmm.
meaning this is where I come up with my 100 ideas. And then I have a separate process where I test the spirit on each one. and see if there's still energy on it. And if there's not energy on it, I might put it in like a someday maybe pile. But it's like there's a process of filtration. And maybe this is by nature of how much I'm on a razor's edge in a sense. Like I'm on a very, very short leash spiritually. And the work that I do, it's like I can only, people look at my life and go, oh my God, how can he juggle all these things? And da, 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 da. And they have their story about how busy I am. I have no idea how busy I am. Why do I have no idea how busy I am? Busy I am because I just do what's in front of me. And I'm always just checking if there's energy on it, if it's clear to do. And the times when I move outside of that energy and that flow, I feel overwhelmed real quick because, on paper, I should be dead, right? On paper, I shouldn't be able to juggle all this stuff. But the truth is, I don't juggle all this stuff. I have spirit is juggling them, and I just need to put my one hand out to catch the ball at the one moment and throw it back up again. I don't really need to worry about how it all works in that sense. So it's caused me to have to be extremely judicious with time and energy. And I constantly welcome my closest friends will always ask me, like, what is. So my closest friends will always ask me uh, whether I'm taking care of myself or whether I'm taking enough time to sleep or taking enough time to meditate. And I'm so grateful for that. I mean, at first my ego's like, well, oh my God, you don't think I'm doing things right. But at the end of the day, I have to be so judicious with every second of my time because my time is not my own. It's devoted to the spiritual work that I do. I'm not here for the scenery. I'm not here for the sightseeing. I'm here to do the service that I agreed to do in this lifetime. So for me, it's always a process of filtration. I open my mouth, my arms really wide to receive of the inspiration of spirit, and then I just check at each stage of the process. Okay, is there energy still on it? 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 And the things that survive usually have their own momentum. I don't have to push, they just happen, and it's perfect. What happens with creative people is they'll often have judgments of people who don't execute on their creativity. So that's why I'm saying it can be very healing to consider the brainstorming process its own complete action and go,
I
yes,
really
that's
wasn't with
done.
that. Yeah.
That's done. I did it. It's awesome. I came up with cool ideas. There's a separate process called checking the spirit on those ideas. So you can have stages. Stage one is I'm not going to be discriminating. I'm gonna just let my creative consciousness fully be free. And at the end of it, I'm gonna say, great, I don't need to do anything with these. This is complete. This is done, karmically free. And you place light and you bless it and you put it in the light hopper. Then you take that long list and you take it to the next stage called, let me test. Okay, 0 to 10, how much light is on this, or how much karma do I have or agreement do I have to do this? Whatever your metric is, and you go through. Okay, you put it back in the light hopper. That's your next phase. Okay, great, done. I completed that. I feel great. I've done. That's my filtration step. Okay, now this is my to-do step. Now I get to see, I check the spirit on it. Is there any energy on it for me to actually do anything right now? Or is it an on pause until I get a green light from spirit? And I'm testing each one, testing each one. Okay, these are the green light ones. Great. Okay, so now I move those into to do. Okay, so now they're in the to do. They're in my backlog. Now I go, okay, test the spirit. Okay, are any of these clear to do this month? Okay, put them in this month. Are anything clear to do this week? Are anything clear to do today? Anything clear to schedule time for? You see, there's a kind of a faith and a trust in the process. If we truly want to be in co-creatorship with God, that creative process that we're talking about can't just simply be us mentalizing about the things that come through. It actually becomes very high pressure and very confusing and very difficult when we try to do that because really, for me, creativity is more stewardship of God's energy as expressing on this planet. So That's essentially the process I use, because at the end of the day, it's really not, my intention is to be a commutator of God's light. My intention is to be a vehicle for God's expression. So as these energy fields and these lines of energy move through, if they fall flat, it doesn't mean that it was a waste of time. It just means that the creativity was a complete action. Your mind is what says, I came up with an idea, therefore it must be this in the world. And that's just not the case. Those are different karmas. You have to understand that the karma of creativity is different than the karma of actions is different than the karma. Those are different parts of your karmic matrix that express differently. There are people who, and that's why people often they'll find, there are people that come up with ideas for stories, and there are people who write stories, and there are people who turn them into movies. They're not the same job, and that's not by accident. There are people who have a really good karma with bringing in ideas and not so good karma with executing on them. And then there are people who have really good karma with executing on them, but couldn't get a crazy good idea to save their life. I know plenty of people who are like, if somebody would just come to me with a good business idea, I can run a business, I can kick ass, but I cannot come up with an idea that will make money. Everybody has different gifts, everybody has different actions to complete, everybody has different expressions that they came in with in the matrix of their consciousness. And all of them are beautiful, all of them are completely lovable, and all of them are capable of complete expression at the level that they are designed to express. And yours might just be creativity. It just might be creativity as a celebration of God and nothing more. That's why I'd say you just let the energy speak for itself. It's like the sky is blue. You don't really have to think too much about it. It's like that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like it, or is the thing water soluble? I don't know, drop it in the water and see if it dissolves. If it doesn't dissolve, then it's not water soluble. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not,
Yeah.
so it's like, is the energy continuing? Does it still feel like it has legs and has its own energy? Okay, great. We'll continue looking at it then. That's called checking it out. That's called spiritual science.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had sort of a realization in some new level of my consciousness that I've been trying in a lot of aspects of my life, trying, that kind of pushing. And this recognition that there's an opportunity to really just allow what's the thing where the energy is going and just move with the spirit. Because what you described resonates so well with me. It's like, yeah, I just want to be with whatever spirit's doing. Whatever's the highest good, whatever that action is, like sign me up. And then I just put my energy into it. Um, so I, so every, yeah, that really resonates and like
Yeah,
checking it out.
and most of the trouble that people get into is they get into the story and they get into what does this all mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I just came up with an idea. What does that mean I should do with it? That that means you should have an idea. That's all that means. You don't, it's like, I think, therefore I had a thought. Everybody's like, I think, therefore it's true. No, you think, therefore you had a thought. So you can look into that thought. There's a lot of things that can happen at that point, but the mind will mock up all the things you should be doing when we can be walking through life treating everything as a complete action. Like I was saying before, listening can be a complete action. I can just listen to you and that's more than enough. It doesn't have to be like, well, if I listen, then maybe I can say something smart and maybe they'll like me and maybe that it's just no, it's like it's so simple when you just honor and love your natural expression as a spiritual being, as a complete action in each moment. I think you got it.
Yeah. I'm just
Cool.
resonating over here. It's great. Thank
Right
you,
on.
Jeffrey.
Cool,
Really
man.
appreciate it.
Thank you. God bless you. All right, Angela Bell, and then I gotta jump.
So let's see. I should, first of all, want to tell you what happens to me when I tune into you. I am totally one with you. If there's anything in my consciousness that needs to go, it leaves. And I totally love you. And I just love you. I listen to you and I love you. And I am so grateful that you have come forward in my lifetime.
I love you a lot, Angela. Thank you for being here. And
So having said that, I shared with you once and I asked you the wrong question. Okay.
that does happen sometimes.
I asked you, I had a question when I was doing DSS about, um, I was getting like a light figure of John Morton, and I asked him, he said it was his resurrected figure. Well, that brought up a clearance in me that from previously I had no awareness of resurrection. So now I have an awareness of resurrection, but I would like to know more about it because I am quickly, not too much in the future, going to be resurrecting. And I'm looking forward to it. And I would just like to know more about it because it's something that I have never explored.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what I think when you asked me this before, I probably didn't have an answer either, but um, to be candid with you, I don't really know what that means because I don't know. So resurrection would imply that death
And I
is
appreciate the fact that you just said that.
yeah, I don't know what you mean and I don't know what that means. I know what it means in a Judeo-Christian context because the Jewish myth of the Mashiach necessitates a resurrection of the dead at the end times, and that's part of the prophecy. Therefore, it was very important in the Bible that Jesus be resurrected in order to fulfill that, so that Jews could convert to followers of a resurrected,
Ah,
form.
ah,
So I know what the I know what the societal and cultural backdrop is of the term resurrection. I think it sounds great, maybe printed on a greeting card, but I think it's more for me, resurrection is more rebirthing and the constant renewal of the Christ presence on the planet. Like John Roger would often say, we talk about Jesus Christ's return, but when did he ever leave?
that's uh, and that's my experience.
So,
Yeah.
so there's a way in which every moment we die and every moment we're resurrected in the Christ, and the Christ brings that newness. Jesus Christ also talked about let the dead bury the dead. There is something that karma, that Lucifer, that all of those dynamics would have us reference into a concocted and imagined past or fear about a concocted and imagined future. When the resurrection is always into a nowness of spirit that transcends all time and enters into the kingdom of God in this moment, this very second, where Christ resides in you and the kingdom of heaven is present.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about terminology, but I know that esoterically for me, the resurrection is more about overcoming time and overcoming death, overcoming the call power. Kal means time and death in Sanskrit, by the way.
Hmm,
So
really?
overcoming time and death, you could say, is resurrection. But I'm not so attached to the terminology or the poor translations of some white guys, centuries ago, of a Greek manuscript that was a poor translation of an Aramaic writing that was a it just goes on and on and on. I'm not really interested in appeasing the terminology,
Yeah.
but I have experience on the complete presence of the Christ in
Yeah.
every breath that I take.
And I have my conversation with the Christ, and each morning, and I ask him, "How may I serve you?" And that's, "How may I serve you this day?"
I agree with that. But I don't know what a I know what the story in the Bible says that was written hundreds of years after the guy was actually on the planet.
But
So
you don't
I,
have
you
a
know,
personal experience.
I don't know what you mean. I mean, maybe I do, but I don't. My
I,
experiences with the Christ rarely come with terminology or Bible studies.
yeah,
I mean, maybe other people have visions where the Christ appears and pulls out a King James Bible and says, "Okay, turn to chapter and verse that," and I just don't have that experience. I get glimpses of truth that are absolutely and totally true.
yes,
Like
yeah,
moments where I just know Christ is friend. Christ is Christ built a bridge. It's
yes,
just statements that are universally and completely true, that because of what this man they called Yeshua or Yashu actually, what Yesu,
yeah,
because of what he held in his consciousness, because of what he bridged in his consciousness, now all of a sudden soul awareness, soul transcendence is ubiquitously available regardless of our worthiness. So I see all of that in a very simplistic and immediate way, but you have to understand I wasn't raised with all the terminology, so I don't really have any attachment to the word resurrection. And people are like, well, don't you believe he walked on the water? I was like, well, I like boats. I
I
don't really mind. Like, he would be just as impressive to me if he took a ferry boat. But what about healing the sick? If I needed somebody to make sickness go away on the planet, I would be in prison. Sickness belongs to this earth, and I am not of this earth. The transcendence of the flesh is freedom, not the fixing of the flesh. I think it's great. I've seen JR do
agree.
enough.
I totally agree.
I think John Rogers done enough physically for in front of me to demonstrate it's totally possible that a dude called Jesus laid his hands on somebody and then the like demons came out. I've seen all that. I've seen that.
Yeah,
So yeah, I told that
I
all,
have too.
but I just don't understand why it is so important. I mean, maybe it was around the time of the Nicene Creed. Everybody just started saying the same crap over and over without actually knowing what they were saying. Just over and over and over repeating, He died for our sins. What the hell does that even mean? Like, to
Uh,
me, it's very real and it's very esoteric and energetic and mystical, and I just don't care about the terminology. So no, I don't really know what resurrection means. To me, what Jesus proved through his action and what he demonstrated in the path he laid out was that death is an illusion
yes,
and that we can transcend beyond the cosmic mirror into the ocean of love and mercy, beyond the 27 levels and into the heart of God.
Yes. Yes.
And that
That's what I'm
demonstration,
experiencing in my old age.
your
as,
young
as
age.
being true, as a living truth.
So I have no attachment to using terminology. I don't need to say an eye for an eye and tooth for tooth, as you sow, so shall you reap, is how to explain karma,
Thank
because
God.
that's not how I explain karma. By the way, that's a terrible translation. It's like, why do I have to worry about some white guy's translation of a Mediterranean text? Why do I have to worry about that?
And I'm totally with you, you know. So
I
I
just
would
my
like,
so I yeah, I mean, I look, it doesn't matter whether you ever know what the word resurrection means, as long as you experience the transcendence of death through the Christ in your own consciousness.
yeah.
Words mean nothing. My words mean nothing, especially. Please don't listen to a word I say. Just go have your own experience and then tell me I used the wrong words. That would be real fun. Maybe we could try and figure out a better way to say these things. I'm sure there is one.
Thank you. I love you. And I would like to leave you with a quote. Okay.
Pick. Go for it.
We're talking about so much about words. The words I speak become the house I live in. And I think it is by somebody called Cal. And that it just had a little, but it came across my computer and I love it because my thing is speak kind words. It's one of my methods in my DSS. And I love my life. It is a beautiful life. And I have experienced, I never had a career in my whole life, but I had a lot of careers. And then that one was over. And then I went to a new one. So right now, I don't have a career except service. That's my everyday thing. I wake up and find some way at 94 to do service, to serve someone. Not to do service, because I don't do service, but to serve someone. And I thank you for the service that you're doing to many,
You know,
many people.
it's funny. I think that's my career too.
Yes. Because when I look back over my whole life, that's all I ever did was service. I served someone. I served my Jewish grandfather. I served my father. I served my sister who had polio. I served my children, my two children. I spent serving them. I nursed them at the breast. So it was service. And that's the only thing that has made me happy and joyful. I spent 20 years in prison serving, sitting in trios, igniting a little thing of light in someone who maybe murdered someone. And I didn't care about any of that. All I cared about was igniting the light. And it was, you have no idea of how much I grew in a prison service. I walked into prison hand in hand in Christ. It was a Christed thing. It was a calling. I could not go.
God.
So I'm going to let you go to dinner. And
So you witnessed some resurrections in your time.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yes. So, and I'm still going. I'm still looking into things in myself that I can love. Because I am the ultimate lover. People around me know that that's the most important thing to me, is to love.
Amen.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Angela. God bless you. And thank you all for sticking around. I love you. God bless you. Peace be still. The blessings already are.
Thank you, Jeffrey.